Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today are my desert island horror movie picks. Now, this is just a very broad spectrum generic list. It's 20 films, and they are just a mishmash of everything because horror is my favorite genre. So this was a very, very hard thing for me to do. Just whittle it down to 20 films because really I would want to just take my whole horror collection with me. So what I decided is instead of I'm not going to focus on any subgenres like slashers, sci-fi, thriller, werewolf, home invasion, anything like that. I'm going to do future segments where I will focus on subgenres of horror. So these are just the criteria for this was horror movies that I can watch over and over and over and I never get tired of watching them. So that's what this round is about. And then I have 5 films that, in all seriousness, they go with me anytime I travel. They're loaded onto my iPad and they go with me wherever I go. So I'm going to show you those first and then I'm going to get into the list. And it's probably not going to require a lot of commentary. There's some common titles, but there's some maybe lesser known. So I'll talk a little more about those. But my first one that goes with me anywhere I go is, of course, Halloween 1978. You knew it had to be here. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So it definitely gets loaded up on the iPad anytime I go anywhere. The next one is the OG, the first installment of the franchise of Friday the 13th. I love the original Friday the 13th. I love a lot of them. There's better ones in the franchise and not so great ones. It kind of waxes and wanes, but I think overall this is one of the better franchises out there. But I love Friday the 13th, the original, so never leave home without it. And this next one, I keep it with my horror stuff. I've heard people have actually challenged me on this, but I think it's a straight up horror. And it's Jaws, and I never ever go on vacation or leave home without a copy of Jaws loaded up on the iPad or the phone or something. This next one, this whole franchise holds so much nostalgia for me, as I know it does for a lot of people. And this is the 7-film collection. This is our box set. This is what we get for a Blu-ray box set for the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Now, if I could only take one, I would take the original. That's the one I would just go with because it's the one that really, you know, obviously it started the whole thing and it holds a lot of nostalgia for me personally. So either the original or the whole giant box set I would take with me, but Nightmare on Elm Street would be on there. And of course I would be remiss if I didn't take this one with me, and it is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It always goes with me and it never disappoints. So that would definitely be in my bag or on my iPad or something. So I'm just going to get right into my picks, and like I said, they're probably not going to require a lot of explanation because many of them you'll know, some of them maybe not. I'll explain them as I go. This first one is one of my favorite vampire movies of all time. It stars Josh Hartnett. We've talked about it before. 30 Days of Night. It takes place in a town in Alaska where it is dark for 30 days, and a group of horrible, vicious, some of the most scary vampires I've ever seen just take over the town, and the people that are left there are running for their lives, hiding, trying to escape these wild, vicious vampires. And this is so, so good. If you haven't seen 30 Days of Night, it's a banger. You have to see it. And they are brutal, brutal vampires. So really, really good. And I love the setting. I love that it's up in Alaska and it's dark and cold and snowy and it's got everything. So really, really good. And a really great ending on that one. It was what it was supposed to be. So that's all I'm going to say about that. This is another, it just happened to be another vampire movie that I really, really like. And I think it's deserves a little more love, a lot more love. It stars Saoirse Ronan and it's Byzantium. And it's a mother and daughter vampire who they're on the run. They've been on the run for 200 years or something. And the problem is that with this movie, the vampires all have to be men. They don't want women being vampires. So they're very upset that her mother is allowed to be alive and do what she's doing. And they're not happy with some of the decisions she's making or has made. And the male vampires are out to find her and do away with her. So she and her daughter, Saoirse Ronan, have to seek cover. And what they do is they meet up, her mother meets up with a man, and they kind of turn his home into a brothel and hide behind that business. And that's all I'm going to tell you. But there's a whole lot more to this. And if you haven't seen Byzantium, put it high on your list because it's really, really good. Now this one, I know everybody's talking about it because it got an awesome second sight release, which I have over there, but I didn't want to mess up my table here. So I just brought the standard Blu-ray of It Follows. I think this is such a great modern horror movie with such an interesting concept. And if you haven't seen this one, what are you doing? Get a copy of it and watch it because it's fantastic. And I watch this every year at least once, always around Halloween, but sometimes even twice. But It Follows. It's a good one, and I would definitely have no problem watching that anytime, anywhere. Now this one is from George A. Romero, and it's probably not the one that you would think, or maybe it is. I went with the original Dawn of the Dead, and I just love this one. I love that it's a great zombie movie, and something about them being trapped in the mall, I just think it's great, and the way they communicate with other people that they see who are surviving this zombie situation. It's another zombie movie. He did it. I think he did it 11 years. Yeah, it was like 11 years after he did Night of the Living Dead. He did Dawn of the Dead, and this is just fantastic. I think it's great. So if you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, again, there was a great second sight release. I think they still have the standard release, but definitely check it out. Dawn of the Dead is great, and Tom Savini did an awesome job with the special effects on this one. So definitely check it out. Now this one is one that is not as well known, but I absolutely love this film. I saw people picking it up at the dollar store, and I just think it's so good. It's in English and in Hebrew with English subtitles, and it is called Big Bad Wolves. People were picking this up at the dollar store when it was still the dollar store, so it was still $1. And basically what we have is there are murders of children taking place, and the police think they know who's committing these murders, but they can't really prove it. But there is a father he is sure that who they have their eye on is the right person, and he takes matters into his own hands. So it is basically a revenge film, but it is so good. And there are these weird but very fitting bits of dark comedy thrown in, which really took me by surprise, but it just worked. It didn't take away from the horrors that were going on. But if you haven't seen Big Bad Wolves, definitely check it out. I know it's still available on Amazon. And then this franchise, this is another one. I know not everybody loves this one, but I really like this one. Some more than others, like always, but definitely the first one, and I threw in the most recent one that I just watched. And this one is it's a 7-film collection for Saw. I would say the first 3 are my favorite, so I would definitely want them with me. But if I could take the whole little set here, the whole 7, I know there's more, like, I don't think Jigsaw is in here, and Spiral is not in here, but I also threw in a Saw X because I just watched this weekend, and it is absolutely brutal. But it's a very brutal. I was like actually looking away at times, but it's fantastic. And I feel like with this installment, it went back to its roots, and the storytelling is there. And what you love about Saw are the twists and the turns and the storytelling, at least me. And I felt like they brought that all back in this one. And I have to figure out where in the franchise timeline it lands, because there's some things that happen, and I don't want to get into it, because if you haven't seen Saw X, I highly recommend it. But just like with the first 7 or so, at least the first 3, what I really love the most is just the storytelling, the way things work out, and it's never what it seems. And I think it's very smart writing, and that's what I really enjoy the most about Saw. And it's some pretty brutal stuff. Now this one, I know not everybody likes this, but I'm a fan. I'm a fangirl. I've admitted it. I'm not afraid of it. The original Conjuring, one of my favorites, and it's definitely my favorite in the franchise. But I think it's great, and it would definitely go with me anywhere I went. So I'd have to have that one. Now, I would say most people agree. If you're a zombie fan, I think this is one of the best modern zombie movies you will find. It is a Korean film, Train to Busan. And if you haven't seen this one, please pick it up. It's so good. A little tough towards the end, but it's a really good movie. And if you like fast-paced zombies and a lot of action, you're going to get it all with Train to Busan. It is a winner. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But this one would be more my modern zombie pick, so that would be with me. The next one, this should come as no surprise, knowing what a fan I am, but it is Rob Zombie's Firefly trilogy, and this is the most recent release, the Walmart Steelbook, and I just love the Firefly trilogy, and this one would go with me anywhere I want to be. This one would have to be with me, because I just love the Firefly trilogy, and even Three from Hell is really starting to grow on me. So this one would definitely be with me. Another one that I really, really like, and I like the Japanese version of it as well, and that's The Ring. This has a nice lenticular cover. You know the story with this one. You watch a videotape with some really creepy imagery on it, and then 7 days later you're dead. But this is really, really good. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And if you haven't seen the Japanese version, Ringu, definitely check that one out too. I would also, now this is my kind of yeah, I guess this would be sci-fi. I think it's sci-fi, but John Carpenter's The Thing. How do you not have The Thing if you're stuck on a desert island, and if you need something that you can watch over and over and over? I never have a problem watching The Thing. It is so good. It is so well done. And just like being stuck on a desert island, you're going to feel that sense of isolation and dread and not knowing what's around the next corner. And it's just so well done. I think this is great, and it really stands the test of time. So The Thing had to be on my list. And this one, this falls, I think, under folk horror. I actually heard somebody doing a video where they were almost arguing that this isn't horror. I think this is absolutely horror. It's just folk horror. And that is it is the 1974 version of The Wicker Man, one of my favorite folk horror movies of all time. It is so, so good. We have a detective who's going to an island, and he is going because a little girl has gone missing, and he is going there to investigate, to try to figure out where this little girl is and what happened to her. And the longer he's on the island, the more we realize that something very, very weird and wrong is going on here. And that's all I'm going to say. If you haven't seen The Wicker Man, definitely put it on your list. You have to watch it. It's so, so good. And I would not want to be stuck on an island and never be able to watch The Wicker Man again. Another thing I would bring is the Scream 5-film set. And the reason it's the 5 films is because it is it's the first 3, which are my favorite. I always thought Scream would have been fine ending as a trilogy, but on and on it goes, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue. I'll watch them. But it also comes with 2 documentaries, Still Screaming and Scream the Inside Story. So this set would actually go with me, because it has everything I want. It has the first 3 and then the documentaries, which are great. And if you can still get your hands on this one, definitely pick it up. It's a good one. And to satisfy my classic monsters, if you will, because it's not a Universal, it's Hammer, but I'm going to go with 1959, the Hammer Mummy. You know, I've said it before, it's my favorite mummy of all time. I love the Mummy. I like the Universal Mummy also. I like all the Universal monsters, but this one just sticks with me for some reason. I just really love everything about it. I love the look of the mummy and how he moves and the story, and this would have to be with me. So the Hammer Mummy would go with me. And of course, you know, I'm not going to leave home without The Exorcist. I love The Exorcist, one of the scariest movies of all time, and oh, I hope I have a 4K player with me because I grabbed the 4K version. But no, I would definitely have to have The Exorcist with me, because this is one, I can watch this anytime, anywhere. And if anyone who hasn't seen it wants to watch it, I'm up for it. And I never say no to watching The Exorcist any time of the year. Now, I have another one. This is actually the Criterion release, and I love this movie. I talk about it all the time when people ask, what's a good horror type movie in the collection? It's Spine number 260. This is from 1960. It's 90 minutes. It's in black and white, and it is in French. It's called Eyes Without a Face. And the story of this one is, we have a gal who's been in a terrible accident, and it has left her terribly disfigured on her face, and she wears a mask to cover it up. Her father is trying to give her a new face. So what he is doing is he is capturing girls who fit the physical profile of his daughter, and he's trying to do a successful face transplant. This is such a dark and creepy and eerie film. It is so good. It is so well done. And this has one of my favorite endings ever. I think it is perfect. The ending is perfect. But if you haven't seen Eyes Without a Face, you still have, I think, 4 days left in the sale. Do your homework and check this one out, because it is well worth the pickup if you are a horror fan. And another one that I chose is, this is an Australian film that I absolutely love. And it's got this cool lenticular pack. And it is Wolf Creek, and I just love Wolf Creek. I think it's so good. We have a group of young people that are out in they're out in the outback, and they're doing their thing. I think they were going to go hiking or something, hiking around, and their car breaks down. And they meet this fella, this crazy guy, who tells them that he can help them and he can help them fix their car, and he takes them back to his place. It's like a garage with tools and things, and it's gross and weird, and things get really crazy. And basically what he does is he terrorizes them, and he stalks them through the night, and he just terrorizes these kids. And this is just such a good movie, and I'm so happy to see it get a proper release from Viavision. And it's amazing. I could watch Wolf Creek anytime, anywhere, with anyone. So that was a no-brainer to bring with me. Now this next one, some people love this. Some people really don't like it. But this is a movie that makes me think. And that's why I'm able to watch it over and over again. Because I feel like every time I watch this, I walk away thinking something new about it. And that is A24's Saint Maud. And what we have is, this is in, it's in Spanish with English subtitles. We have a gal who, she's a hospice nurse, and she is very, very deeply rooted in her faith. And what she is trying to do is for some reason, she is trying to kind of grant her hospice patient salvation through trying to get her to live like a virtuous life. And really what it is she's battling with her own demons, and we see that through different things she does here. And that's really all I want to say about it, because if you haven't seen it, I think you might want to check this one out. You have to be patient with it. It's a slow build. It doesn't give you all the answers. You have to come to some of your own conclusions, but this is one that every time I watch it, I find something new to like about it. I really enjoy films that make me think, like I said, and this is one, it is a thinker. It is not a barn burner. It is not scary. It's more unsettling than anything. But give Saint Maud a chance, because I think it gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I think it's well worth the watch. So Saint Maud is one that I am up for anytime, anywhere. And I just think it's great. And come on, where am I going without Suspiria from 1977. Suspiria, Dario Argento's Suspiria. I just love this one. We have a young gal who goes to a live-in dance school in Germany, and she is going to learn dance there, and she's going to practice, and she's going to hopefully have a career in dance. And the longer she's there, the longer she feels like there are some weird things going on here. And I don't want to get into what's going on, but it is definitely weird. And I tell everyone, the first few minutes of this film, I would say like the first 5-ish minutes, it just comes at you like a freight train. It is just overload. It's sensory overload. There's imagery that is just overwhelming and shocking. And if you can get past the first 5 minutes, you're going to be in for a heck of a ride. It is really, really good. It kind of settles down, and it settles into its story after those first few minutes. But I think his goal was to just really shock you and get your attention in those first few minutes, and he absolutely does that. And one of the things I love about this the most is the score. I actually have it on vinyl. I play it all the time. It is fantastic. So Suspiria 77, it's going everywhere with me. And I couldn't decide which Dario Argento film I liked the most, so I took two, and I'm also bringing Deep Red, and this is another fantastic one. Sometimes this is my favorite, sometimes Suspiria is, but it's always 1 and 2. But Deep Red is, I'll give you a little synopsis for anyone who hasn't watched it, and this one is, I think this one, it's in Italian, but I think there's an English dub on this too. I always watch it in whatever language it is with the subtitles, but I think you can do an English dub if you don't want to do the subtitles. It's basically about a musician who believes he has witnessed a woman being killed in her apartment, and he's trying to get there in time to catch the perpetrator, and he thinks maybe he missed them, but maybe he didn't. And they call this they describe it as a fever dream of giallo film, and that's really what it is. It's like a fever dream of a movie, and you just have to watch it. It's another one that it's an experience. You have to experience Deep Red, and it is just so good, and there are so many elements to it, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's basically this guy trying to solve this murder, and what goes on with that as things progress. And that's all I can say without destroying the movie for you. So if you haven't seen this and you're up for like a fever dream giallo, definitely check out Deep Red, because this one will not disappoint you. And none of these on this list, I personally don't think any of them will disappoint you, but you make your own mind up, and everyone has their own favorite films. So these happen to be mine. And like I said, I'm going to do other subgenres so they will be more specific. And but these are just my general Desert Island picks that I have to have with me. I can watch them anytime, anywhere, with anyone who wants to join me. So that's what I went with. I hope you enjoyed this. I want to thank you as always for watching. And you guys picked horror, so there's going to be more horror in the mix coming forward and in the future. So stay tuned for that. And again, I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoy content like this and collection videos, top 10 lists, all kinds of things, new releases, hauls, movie reviews, you name it, we do it. Consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going to upload again, which will be, I believe, Friday, when I am going to talk about films that deserve a more pristine release, like a figure boutique release, maybe Arrow, even Criterion, even a 4K release. Some don't even have a Blu-ray release. So we're going to talk about that on Friday. But for now, I am going to go up, edit this video, have a snack, and call it a day. So for now, that's a wrap.